Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. If you want to watch my live streams every single day, click the WAP link in the description below. My lifetime discount just ended, but if you want to pay for it monthly, it's only $35 a month. I'll honestly probably make it back in one trade for you. So, I mean, try it out for a month, see if you like it. And yeah, that's the only way you can watch my live streams. Other than that, I'll probably do a free live stream tomorrow. So, yeah, and if you want to get a futures account, okay, click the Apex link in the description. I'm gonna leave a code that will get you the 71% off. Okay, so just copy that code into the promo when you type in the code or whatever, and that should give you the discount. So yeah. Again, by the way, I really think, again, I don't just say this to say this. I really think that buying these cheap eval accounts on Apex, they help me so much. Okay, and I know Topstep has been also doing streams as well. You can get free accounts from there if you like stay in the stream. They give away free accounts, and I'm not even affiliated with them. Okay, so I'm not just trying to do this to promote me. I'm literally just any firm is fine. I just think Apex is actually the cheapest, so that's what I'm going to promote, and that's how I got better so fast. So definitely recommend that. All right, so today's video I'm going to be going over how to find a model. Okay, and it's pretty. It's simple, but it's complex. Okay. When I first started trading ICT, what I tried doing is I learned about breaker blocks. I learned about mitigation blocks. I learned about volume imbalances, fair value gaps, right? I learned about all these PD arrays, order blocks. And I tried using all of them, okay? And I'd be like, I go into the 15-minute time frame, let's say, and what I would do is I would be like, okay, I see a breaker block right here. Okay. And I'd mark it out, do whatever, blah, blah. And that was my breaker. And I kind of marked this out. And my thought process was kind of like, okay, we have this breaker. Here's what I'm going to short. Okay. This breaker. Okay. Which it should be a breaker. If it's not a breaker, don't get me wrong. I don't really use these, but I'm pretty sure this is a breaker because it's a swing low and we take out, we purge liquidity here. Okay. So, again, that's besides the point. But I always try to use breakers. I try to use mitigation. I try to use everything. And what I do is I literally look for a breaker and I'd short off that breaker. And then my mind would end up traveling to something totally different. I'd be on this 5-minute time frame and my mind would be like, oh, there's a breaker here, but there's an order block here. All right. And you can see where I'm going with this. So instead of shorting the breaker, I'd be like, oh, this order block would be a much better entry. And then I'd try to short the order block. And we'd surpass the breaker and we come up to this order block and I'm like, oh, I'm going to short here. And then that's where the second thoughts come in. That's where like, oh, we broke this breaker. How do I know we're not going to break this order block? Okay, and that's the main problem I had at the beginning. And once I started realizing that flaw in ICT, and it's not a flaw, like it's what he does and what he teaches is he says learn a model, okay? And I tried learning all models because I thought if I knew every model, I'd be able to take every single trade, which is not a good mindset. Okay, so literally what I tried doing is I tried all these models, and if one failed, I'd be like, well, how do I know this one's gonna work? And it kind of gave me analysis paralysis. So what I started doing is I did this for so long, and I just kept taking breakers. I kept taking order blocks. I just kept taking everything, and that's what I actually would recommend doing at the start. You're gonna have more losses. You're not gonna have high of a win rate, but if you can learn all these models and try every single one and try them for like a month, and then try another one for a month, or just take them wherever you see them. What happened to me was I would go month one. I'd look for a breaker, look for an order block, whatever it be. Month two, look for a breaker, mitigation block, volume imbalance. Month three, look for volume imbalance, order block. Month four, inverse fair value gap, order block. Month five, okay, I've seen this setup before. This inverse fair value gap setup, I know it works a lot. I'm going to take this. Month six, all right, I've been seeing these inverse fair value gap setups a lot. I'm going to take this. And I slowly but surely kind of transitioned to just using inverse fair value gaps off of me taking all these models. Okay, so like I would still see these breakers on my chart or whatever, and I'd still see like other fair value gaps. But I got to the point where, oh, I've seen these inverse fair value gaps click and work so many times, and these signature price work so many times, where I'm just gonna stick to these. And what happened was I literally just stopped caring about breakers. I stopped caring about all this other stuff. I will say this, okay? Someone the other day, they go, oh, your inverse model is a mechanical strategy. My inverse model is not a mechanical strategy. Here's why. I take my inverse off of other things I see, like a Judah swing, for example, lunch lows being hit off of a daily fair value gap or a daily order block from a high time frame. I'm taking these off of other PD arrays, but this is just my entry model. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is you don't need 50 million entry models. You only need one. But it is good to know breakers and it is good to know order blocks because it's important to know if we're delivering from one. So like in here, you can kind of see I don't even know if we hit this break or not, but let's just pretend we did. And here you could say, oh, we're delivering from this breaker combined with a fair value gap to the left. Now I'm going to look for my entry model, which would be if we get a fair value gap, right? Which would be a silver bullet, which maybe be right here. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys is don't have a million entry models, but understand the models. Okay, understand the breaker, understand the order blocks, and then you look for a model off of those areas. Okay, another example, okay, would be right here. This is an inversion fair value gap. So your model would be if we break above it long. However, what some people do is they're not just going to long when we retrace. They're going to look for a whole nother model off that inversion. Like maybe you see a breaker, okay? Maybe you see a reclaimed order block right here. And then that's your model, okay? You're not entering off the inversion, but you're entering off your own model off that inversion. Does that make sense? And you want to look for that to repeat, okay? The same entry model, right? You can have multiple different models where you use, but don't trade like this. And then you have your entry model, okay? There's a difference. And over time, and having a lot of screen time just made me have conviction in some plays and others not, right? I'd see order blocks formed, but I wouldn't short along them because I had no conviction in them because they failed on me too much. And over time, I built up my conviction the best with inverse fair value gap, so that's what I just started using. So I think it's best to transition to whatever one you're gonna have more conviction in. I think breakers are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I never really, I still check them a lot. But I think that's the next best thing that people will have a lot of conviction in using. Okay, I know a lot of people use breakers, and I think one of the worst ones is probably volume imbalances. Although people don't really know how to use them that well, but like volume imbalances sometimes they're so small, and I see people take them and they're just like scared it's gonna get cut through because it's so small, and they don't have conviction on them. Okay, and that's the main reason why I didn't start using volume imbalances as much. But like, if you look right here. Right. Imagine if someone took this tiny little volume balance. Do you really think they're going to have a lot of conviction for this tiny 1 point zone to hold a $15,000 index, right? They're probably not going to have a lot of conviction. So that's the problem with volume imbalances and what some people struggle with. So find something they're going to have conviction. It's find something you've seen that has worked a lot and a lot and a lot. Okay. And that's basically how you find your model. And it will not come easy, okay? It will take you a couple months. Took me like 5 or 6 months, okay? I remember I used to try to execute 1,000,000 miles or 1,000,000 executions per second because I'd had these super tight stops and I'd get stopped and I'd be like, oh, here's a breaker. It's still going to hold. So then I re-enter. That gets stopped. And I'd be like, oh, here's a fair value gap down here. I'm going to re-enter. And I got stopped, okay? And it was not good. But once I started going to one model, I predetermined a stop for that model. I predetermined to take profit, and that's what I do now. Okay, that's what you see me calling my stream. Right, I call these setups every day in my stream, basically inversion models. Okay, so right here, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about this video. But right here, you can see we formed these relative equal highs here. Okay, almost perfect equal highs. You can see. And this is a setup where like, okay, here's a signature price that looks bearish, but is it really? No, because you can see the quick speed and reaction off this 15-minute inverse, and you can see it's just blow right by this. And once I see this candle, I know we're going to these equal highs, right? I don't even need to see a break of this fair value gap. But how do I know that? It's because I've seen this so many times, right? I've seen the same setup so many times, and I know it's going to work. And that's the only way you're ever going to get experience in this market, if you just watch the market every day and look for these things I'm telling you, okay? These are not going to come naturally right away, all right? You're not going to see these setups live right away, but if you trust me, if you stick with this for 6 months to a year, you will start seeing the same things repeat. Like I've seen this repeat a million times, okay? And you will find your model you have conviction in. So that's all I got for today. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and other than that, peace out.